Joining us in this series of building a busking show file from scratch for Chamsys and Magic Q. This is our part 3. What we will be doing today is touching base on effects and intensity masters and working with our playbacks. If you're just joining us, please go ahead and watch part 1 and part 2 first. That way you can be caught up on what we're doing and where we're at, and that way you're not lost. And if you are lost, please toss on some questions in the comments, and yeah, let's just continue to grow together. Awesome. So let's go ahead and check out our execute page number 2. And everything is exactly how it was. We're going to continue on. Let's go ahead and activate our positions and our color. Remember, this is our intensity flashes right here. Now, what we're going to do is start with playback intensity masters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select an all at 100. Okay, now I'm going to record that as Mythos all, and I'm going to toss that in playback number 1. Next thing I'm going to do, select that same group number 1. We're going to select odd even at 100. I'm going to, one sec before I get a little bit too carried away. Sorry about that. I'm not doing any editing, by the way. This is as we're going. That way you guys can see everything that I'm doing without any cuts or pauses or anything like that. This is all in real time. So mistakes will be happening. Cool. So we went ahead. We selected our group. We hit our odd even. Selected at 100. Now we're gonna go to click on execute number 1 right here, and this brings up this execute page that we made on video part 1. Now we're gonna record it. Call it Mythos odd. Toss that right there, and we're going to select item type and change it from button to button flash. And now hit clear, grab your group, odd even, once and again, at 100, execute 1, and we're going to record that as Mythos even. We're going to put that underneath. Now, item type, from button, we're going to button flash. Cool. So why did we do this? Let's finally get to talking about this just a little bit. So one of the features in Chamsys is on your execute page number 1, if you create the grid as a 10 by 2 grid, reason being 10 playbacks, and if we switch to full, you see we got a go and a pause. So what Chamsys lets you do is create a set of cues on this execute page number 1 and assign those to the go and the pause. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do right now. So we're going to click 3 times on our playback number 1. 1, 2, 3. And first we're going to start with our fader. I'm going to highlight the 2. Enter to yes. And this is going to let us activate this cue with a slider. Next thing I'm going to do is go to buttons. Flash. I'm going to highlight the 2. Select yes. And here is the key to that execute page number 1. If we go all the way down to go uses execute grid number 1, I'm going to click on enter, change that to yes, and you see it pop up right here. We're going to go all the way to the bottom, hit yes. For pause, uses execute grid number 1. And now we see we got these 2 cues. Let's go ahead and activate this cue, and we see that these are not selected. Now, what happens when I click my go? You see that come on. Hit pause, you see it come on. So with say your console, if you're on a PC wing, it's the same thing. You got your buttons. It's much easier than using a trackpad. But when you're busking, you can go ahead and go with the music. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you wish. And that's for me, it's a great tool to have, as well as just having and intensity mastered. So now what happens when you start adding cues? Say, for example, let's go ahead and get rid of this. Now this is just to talk about it just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and remove this cue. Okay. Now let's go to palettes. Say we want to utilize this as our colors. We'll go ahead and highlight all this, copy, toss that right there. So now let's click this twice, 1, 2. We see we have all our colors that we copied on to this cue. Okay, great. So let's bring up the cue. We got no intensity, not a problem. Let's go ahead and bring them up. Great. So we see nothing is happening. We don't see any changes. Nothing is going on, right? No problem. Let's click it. View options, go to buttons. The reason this is happening is because of this. If we select this, change it to off, click right here, select this to on. Now this button will be changing our colors. If we bring this intensity, let's bring it down to 10%. Let's see. Well, this is bringing up everything. Let's make all the others pretty dark, and I'll bring this up to white so we can see it. Okay, let's see, 10%. Okay, so now we see that our flashers are still working, and this is activating our colors. Let's go up to 75%. That's kind of a dark color though. See, bring up our mythos. See him still activating right there. Awesome. So those are just little tricks that you can still use. I'm gonna go ahead and remove yes, and go back to our original cue, M all, and toss that sucker right there. Get those settings back up how we had them. Great. Yep. Go all the way down. Yep. Clear. Want to make sure I got it. Yep. Got my flasher. Yep. Awesome. So what's cool is that we have 3 completely separate cues on one fader. So essentially you can have 3 times 10, which gives you 30 cues without flipping any pages at all, which is absolutely incredible. It really opens up what you're able to do in Chamsys. It's a great tool to have. So thank you guys very much for what you've done. Now let's continue on. We're gonna do the same exact thing for our wash. We're gonna bring up our wash, get rid of this. We call it wash all. Put that on playback number 3. Great, clear. And I'm going to do the same exact thing we just did. Odd, even, 100, execute page number 1. And we got playback 3, so I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 positions. I'm going to call this wash odd. Toss that right there. And the reason I moved it over is because I want it in line with this playback. Let's go ahead and do it once again for our even. I always like to clear out my programmer just in case there's any ghosting information in there. Just good habits to have, because I don't always trust my fingers. Cool. Now we're gonna select 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Do the same thing all the way up to the top. Highlight the 2 yes buttons. Do the same thing. Execute grid. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Now let's check. Here we got this. We got this. Got our full. Got our flashers. Awesome. Great. So you can maybe instead of odd even, you can also have your upstage wash, or mid-stage wash or deck lighting, and anything you'd like to have right here. It's all up to you. I'm going to go ahead and now start with creating some masters for my movements. Okay, so I'm gonna select my all and click on position. I'm gonna roll up just a little bit of tilt just to give it some information in the programmer. Hit record. I'm gonna label this tilt. I'm gonna put it my last playback. Clear. I'm gonna do the same thing, all, but this time I'm gonna select pan, just give it some information there. Record, pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create these as masters. 1, 2, 3. Select the 3 time, and I'm gonna go to function. So in function, I'll go to size master. Click yes. Now I'll go to tilt, and we're still in function. Size master, yes. So I will activate these, bring those up, and you will see why right now. So what we're going to do is now create position effects, some movement effect. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in one of these boxes here. So palettes, I'll select my upstage, mythos. Let's go ahead and give those some intensity. Great. Add effects, position. I'm going to select a circle effect. I'm going to go back to palettes. I'm going to deselect, select my mid stage. I'm not going to hit clear on any of this at all. Deselect, bring up some intensity on my wash, upstage wash, add effect, position, circle, palettes, still not hitting clear, deselecting, and selecting mid stage, add effects, position, circle. So now that I have everything, I'm going to go ahead and make this a symmetrical circle. So I'll go to direction, center out, and now, oh, come on, keep up, computer. The size, I typically like to keep the size somewhere around 25. It all depends on your trim height and your venue and the type of fixtures that you have. I'll start this with 6 seconds. It's just kind of my standard. That by no means is that the right or wrong thing to do. It's just what I do. So now we have this here. We can go ahead and save this as some of our effects. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll call this center circle, and we'll just toss that right there. Great. We got our center circle, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that my execute number 2. Let's toss this, call it circle, and we'll put this right here. I'm gonna go ahead and move it, put it right there. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Clear, width, I'll make it too wide. Now select my circle. Oh, looks like I messed it up. Of course. Go back to palettes, grab our upstage, mid stage. Now let's go to our effects, center circle. But you see how it's not symmetrical? This is perfect. The reason being is because the way that we chose and selected our groups. So hit clear. I'm going to upstage, center. Next, I'm going to deselect, and exactly how we just did it. Center, upstage, center, mid-stage, center. Awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and record merge, which how I'm going to do that is by clicking record, REC twice, 1, 2. We've got the blue. I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way and put it right there. Merge it. Absolutely. Cool. So we have our circle effect, and we are going to change this effect by utilizing our size masters. So if I take out my pan, you will see that this circle effect just transformed into a tilt effect. We haven't deselected our circle. It's still utilizing the circle effect, but because we have these as masters, Now we have a tilt effect. What happens if I bring this up and remove the tilt? I have a fan, which let me go ahead and give this position so you can see it panning. Go ahead. Come on. There we go. So you see it panning and not tilting. And this is without changing different effects. You can always make maybe some tilt, dim effects, any kind of effect you want. I like to keep it very, very simple. And this gives me the tool to change one effect into multiple different things. You can change the size. Maybe you got something really intimate and moody and you want it really small. There you go. As you're growing with a song, you're making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you remember back in our first video, we created our speed master, which is here. Now we can start utilizing this. Bring it up. This one effect is now a lot faster. Slow it down as slow as you want, as small as you want, and you just match your song without changing any settings, without selecting anything new. Let's go up, create our circle really slow, speed it up because you're doing a dance band tonight and they just sped up out of nowhere. Slow it down without changing anything in your execute page. I get a kick out of it. I think it's really great. Now we're gonna put our crossfade back to 50. When we're at 50, that's it's utilizing the default originally recorded speed for your effect. If you bring it down, bring both of them down, which is easy on the consoles. You can just bring the two faders down, and it ends the effect. The effect is over. Bring it up, and there it goes. Awesome. What happens if we change our position? Let's go to our fly out. So we're at our fly out. Will this effect still work? Absolutely. Let's change our position again to across. Will our effect still work? Absolutely. Chamsys, thank you very much. All right, cool. So let's continue on with effects. Let's go ahead and do a color effect. Okay, let's go ahead and select upstage. Let's see, what fixtures do we have? I'm sorry. Let's see, the Mythos. Okay, so we got some color mixing fixtures. We're gonna select color, to color, and this is where we're going to select something different from just your traditional red, white, green, all those kind of colors. We're going to select the palettes that we created. So we'll click on C1, and the next we'll select C2. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Deselect, select your mid stage, and we're going to do the same thing. Color, to color, C1, C2, palettes, deselect, mid stage, upstage wash, add effects, color, not to CMY. We're going to select 2COL, which is to color, C1, C2, include elements, yes. You don't have to. That's all personal preference. It's up to you. But I like to. It just gives it a little bit more dynamic in the show. And we're gonna go ahead and stick with our center out. We'll keep this at that speed. You're able to change your parts, change your segments, whatever you'd like. We're gonna go ahead and keep it pretty simple. We might speed it up just a little bit. Go to 2. There we go. That will work. Now we can, let's see, let's put this all together. You can record it onto here if you'd like. I'm gonna go ahead and skip that and just toss it directly into our execute page. I'm gonna call this COLFX1. I'm gonna toss that right there. Make it too wide. Well, we're kind of running out of space, but let's talk about this before we move on. Let's make sure there's nothing in our programmer. So we select our color effect 1. Let's take all our color to blue. select our color effect number 1. Okay, so what's going to happen right now is finally we get to utilize our C2. So you see our C1 is carrying all our main color, correct? Correct, teacher. Okay, cool. So because we utilized our created palettes C1 and C2, what will happen is in a live sense, without being in the programmer, you are able to manipulate and change this single color effect into essentially any combination that you want and that fits your vibe, the moment in the show. So let's go ahead and click on yellow for the C2s and click on green. Come on. You see how now it's doing green and yellow. What happens if we change yellow to white? White. We see it change. And this is all live. You're able to do this all live. Let's switch to a white and red. We got our white and red. And because this is all linked to our Speedmaster, we can speed it up and slow it down at the same time that we have our position effect going. So now we can have some really cool moments in the show. And that is what we do with our color effect, which is awesome. Once again, Chamsys, you guys are really killing it. You guys are doing great. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's do maybe an intensity effect. Let's go ahead and do an intensity effect. Okay, no more moving. Relax. Okay, go ahead and let me show you what happens when you select the 2, add effects. This is when I start getting lazy. Okay, you see how everything is pretty even. There's not really much changing. You're able to keep it that way. I do like to change things and kind of keep that symmetrical feel. But I just kind of wanted to show you what that's like. So we're going to do the same exact thing as we've been doing. We're going to deselect and select our individual groups, unless you make a single symmetrical or symmetrical group. It's all up to you. Let's see. So let's go ahead and what about, we can go ahead and keep this forward effect. It looks pretty cool. I will take this to 2 as well, and I'll keep the size as it is. What happens when you start messing with the width is you're able to manipulate it and change it, create essentially your own instead of just keeping it at the default. We'll keep it pretty close, no problem. We're gonna go ahead and toss that next to our color effect. So record, intensity, effect, and toss that right here. Make it too wide just because this screen is pretty small. And let's just double check this. Yep, go with our speed. Awesome. We got some room. Let's go ahead and do one more, maybe a zoom. Let's go ahead and do a zoom effect. Intensity, we'll go to beam. Let's see, zoom. There we go. Let's see, toss a zoom. Palettes, upstage wash, add effect, beam, zoom chase, and let's grab our last one for zoom. Great. Let's do a random. My computer's kind of having a hard time, but we'll keep it. We'll go ahead and keep it there. Palettes, execute number 2. And we'll toss that under our circle effect. Make that too wide. Hit clear. There it is. Great. So we have room right here. Now, if you're like me, we only have 10 fingers to work with, and it'd be nice to be able to turn everything off all at once. Let me go ahead and show you how to make an and effect stomp. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit all. I'm gonna click shift, add effects, 0 size. I'm sorry, it's kind of small. Let's see if I change the touch. There we go. So I'm gonna grab all my fixtures, click shift. You can click it on your keyboard, you can click it here, and click add effects 0 size. Click it yes. And here I'm gonna go ahead and select every single effect that I used so far in the show file. I know I used a dim chase. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. Shift, add effect 0. I used a circle. You can go back to palettes. I'm gonna select, add effects. I know I selected a 2-color effect, and I had the elements included. I'm gonna go back, reselect, and lastly our zoom. So what this is going to do essentially is turn everything off with one button. I'm gonna call this wait. I'm gonna call this stomp. Stomp effects. I'll put it right there. I'm gonna make it too tall, too wide. And I'm going to change this just a little bit because I don't want it to snap. I'll go ahead and have it come on 2 seconds, and I'll have it turn off in 2 seconds as well. Cool. So let's go back to execute number 2. Let's go back to full. Bring this up. Let's get everything going. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Everything is going. Click your stomp and it goes away. Everything goes away. It goes to the set positions that we have. We had selected our home 1 and our main color. Let's go to touch. Our main color is selected as yellow. Let's go to blue. Take everything to blue. If we deselect stomp effect, it'll take everything back. Stomp effect, and it goes away. Stomp effect, goes back. So that's how you create a stomp effect. Cool. So let's go ahead and continue. What we can do with the rest of our playbacks, as you can see, typically in a normal show file, you'll have a whole bunch of different intensity masters, maybe Q stack masters for colors and things like that. But by utilizing our execute page and soft palettes, what we're able to do is have lots of space for all kinds of stuff. We're able to take this off for our downstage colors and wash it, and you can put that on a playback if you'd like, which I typically do. You're able to go to your execute number 1 and toss maybe your hazer here. If you have some maybe atmospheric effects like maybe some fog furies or geysers, you can toss those here. All kinds of stuff, really special effects and things of that nature you're able to utilize here. Maybe some strobes. It's all up to you, but basically this brings us to the conclusion of our basic busking show file. I really hope that it helps you and you're able to grow in the industry. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave some comments. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And like, share, and subscribe, and let's all keep growing and learning together. Stick around for some Vectorworks tutorials, and I will toss on some more tutorials on Chamsys on getting in depth of all kinds of stuff in the settings and different effects and what we're able to do with show files. If you're interested in Chamsys, please stick around, as I will be talking about time code and things like that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and once again, like, share, and subscribe. Stick around, and see you guys on the next one. Thanks.